Welcome back to the eNCA Money Desk. I'm Aropiwa Mad Money Madzena. And recently, Tokyo began releasing treated wastewater from the damaged Fukushima nuclear power plant. Now, that led to China importing over 60% less seafood in August. Meanwhile, the central bank in China met with the private sector to discuss investment opportunities on the back of the country now becoming the biggest exporter of cars. Joining me now to discuss this, it's Zheng Chunying, and she's a China Global Television Network, or CGTN, correspondent, joining us from Beijing. A very good morning to you, Chen. And let's start with China's imports of seafood from Japan. They're slumping last month as Tokyo starts to release treated wastewater from the damaged Fukushima nuclear power plant. How big is the seafood market in China, actually, and how much of an impact is this going to have on the market in the country?
Thank you for your question first. Well, now let me give you a general picture of this. Last year, Japan exported seafood about $942 million to China, and that made China Japan's top seafood export market, and accounting for over 20% of Japan's food exports. However, due to China's ban, seafood imports from Japan fall by 7.6% from the previous year in August, and that pace accelerated from over 28% in July. And according to some experts that I've spoken to, the food market in China has not experienced a very significant turbulence yet. That's because of the stable supply from its domestic market and also other international alternative suppliers as well, including Russia. In July, over 894 Russian companies received clearance to export seafood to China, which imported over $15 billion worth of seafood in 2020. And that's all from me. Back to you.
Yeah, and let's speak about another important development. Last week, China's central bank and the forex regulator was meeting with foreign financial institutions and businesses to find ways to strengthen financial support to foreign trade and investment in China. What are some of the ways that are being explored here to boost trade and investment in the world's second biggest economy?
Yes, again, thanks for your question. In addition to financial support, as you just mentioned, China has also committed to expediting its visa processing for overseas business people and increasing international flights while fully restoring in-person trade shows, trade fairs. And when it comes to specific sectors, the Chinese State Council has earlier pledged to promote more car exports by establishing direct connections between car firms and shipment companies. They also aim to enhance brand making, brand marketing, sales, and customer service overseas as well. And China has also mobilized its embassies and consulates to extend its support to small and medium-sized enterprises in order to help them reach more overseas market. And the government's goal is not only to stabilize exports to developed countries, including the United States, European Union, but also to expand into more developing regions, including South Africa, Southeast Asia. For example, China and Indonesia earlier announced that they have signed an agreement to expand their e-commerce cooperation and increase imports of Indonesian bulk commodities and premium agriculture and fishery products.
And our connection is a little bit sketchy, Chun, but I'm going to try get this in very briefly, if you will. China becoming the world's biggest exporter of cars, overtaking Japan in the first quarter of this year. Very important development for manufacturing in China. I mean, what kind of opportunities does this unlock for China, especially when it comes to electric vehicles?
Well, it's poised to become a milestone that could reshape the global auto industry. China's strong performance in auto exports is set to contribute significantly to the country's electric vehicle export boom. While EV manufacturing relies on different technology, it still requires the cooperation of the existing auto supply chain, which China has already established effectively. And the same manufacturing capabilities that supported this gas car factory can also be redirected to support a nascent EV industry. For example, in the first half of 2023, China's EV export receipts doubled compared to the same period last year. However, in comparison, the overall auto exports from Japan and Thailand, which include both traditional vehicles and EVs, have yet to return to pre-pandemic levels. So with China's competitive advantage in its lithium-ion battery cell production, as noted by Moody's, its car makers are well positioned to maintain an edge in EV production costs. So it's widely believed that the speed at which China has embraced new technologies in the automobile industry is definitely unparalleled in the world.
Yeah,
that's all from me. Back to you.
Yeah, very interesting insights indeed. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That is Zheng Chunying, and she is a China Global Television Network, or CGTN, correspondent, joining us to speak about economic developments in China. I must say, team, that this is a very important kind of discussion for us to have, an important trading partner. So it's very good to be abreast of the developments that are happening in that economy.
I think especially as well when we take a look at what imports mean for between Japan and China, which obviously has that knock-on effect for us as BRICS partners as well.
Yeah.
We watch their imports because that becomes our imports.
Yeah,
down the value chain,
yes,
eventually, doesn't it as well?
There's a huge value chain, and as long as South Africa is involved, it's a good thing.
As long as we're part of the mix.
Yes, that's right.
And increasingly, because of the intertrade relationships that exist, increasingly we need to be abreast of how the markets are operating and functioning in all of the countries, as opposed to getting, third-hand or second-hand accounts. Let us be right in the mix and really make sure that this BRICS partnership is one that is functional for all parties involved.
But let's be honest, the most important part of any BRICS partnership is knowing that our sushi is okay. I think that's what we...
Yes, it seems as though it's okay.
We're not going to get glow...
We're safe.
We're not going to get like you glow-in-the-dark sushi on our plates.
No, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
If your fish is glowing, send it back. Not supposed to be what's happening. Looking at that for us, the big dog of business, as she's known here on the show, Rapio Madzena, back with us, no doubt. It's a little bit later in the day as well, because we are on a public holiday, of course, doesn't mean the world has stopped at all.